Okay. Burke, I filled out the form this week. I put us down for a front end versus back end dance off.
I saw that. I don't really know what that means, and
I don't. It was our cook off. It's like we both have some different stuff to do. We're doing a little 50-50. So
yeah, that's true. I thought it was mostly you this week. I was just gonna I literally had my feet up, and I was gonna.
Okay. Well, I thought you had some stuff on the edit form.
Yeah, I can do some stuff on the edit.
You can always do some stuff on the edit form.
But first, before we get started, I have something political I want to say. I'm just kidding.
And do the subscribers go up or down?
Just watch. Did that work?
I don't know. We bring in a different clientele.
All right.
I'll start by introducing the things. So
do the things.
Okay. So I got the disclaimer going. This is us live coding something cool, we think, but we don't know what we're doing, figuring it out on the fly. I did prep a bit more for this week because I've tried to get this API fixed a few times and have not done well. And so I actually did code through and get it working, and then I'm going to try and redo what I did. But for the most part, don't trust us. We're just goofballs. And then
we don't know what we're doing.
No. I mean,
if you're here to learn, you're in the wrong place. If you're here to have fun, you're still in the wrong place. What exactly do we offer people? I don't know.
There you go. Yep. I will say, though, like we were talking before, we're both kind of crazy busy. I'm getting stuff ready for .NET Conf and the .NET release in November, and then you've got some stuff you're busy with. But this coding, when I'm I get a few minutes to code between meetings or something, I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. You have an excuse. Yeah, sorry, I would come to your meeting, but I got a live stream on Friday, so
yeah,
this 30 minutes back.
So we are rebuilding this site. This is a site that you and Cecil built 5 years ago, 5-ish. And it uses Vue on the front end, Azure Cosmos DB, and Azure Storage and Azure front end. And you guys basically hacked together what Azure Static Web Apps is now.
That's right, we did.
And so it's been a few years. The login with Twitter is a little flaky because Twitter's a little crazy, and we wanted to add some updates, and you wanted to learn Blazor, and we're just like, let's do it. So we're live coding a rewrite.
So we're building it because we don't really have time to build it to rebuild it. So
yeah,
we parlayed it into a stream. So if Microsoft's like, hey, what the heck are you doing all day? You'd be like, it's a live stream. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're doing our jobs.
There you go. So there's a front end, a back end. The front end is in Blazor. You've been working mostly on that, porting from Vue to Blazor. And that's right. Now it's X login, and we just can't do that.
I'm not calling it that. I just refuse.
I'm never calling it X. So I've been working on the back end, and I realize I'm sharing my window and not my screen, so it's not super easy to show yet. But the back end is using isolated functions. And there's some kind of funky things about it. I do prefer isolated functions. So that's the thing where the Azure function host and the function itself are running separately. And so that allows you to use more newer, fancier .NET features. And it also, it's supposed to be kind of the future for whatever cases you can use. But some of the stuff is different. So porting it over, I ran into some issues. What I found was that I kept hitting. So this is our thing, and here's our project.
Yeah, what's on the board today? I don't remember.
So actually, I think this is accurate.
This is what we're doing.
So listen up. I've got not just the delete method, but I think I also have the update method because I just got going. And once I figured out what my blocker was, then I was like, I think I can actually get the update method done too.
It could not be stopped.
Yeah. So here's the issue I ran into, and it's related to another bug I hit before, which is it was saying ID is not present. And then I was like, wait a minute, the ID is present. Let me reshare my screen so I can share Visual Studio because that's what I had meant to do. And then I'm actually maybe going to switch windows on it later. This one, entire screen. Yes. Share it. There we go. Now, because of that, I need to go in here and I need to go to don't share the things. Oops, there we go. Okay, rad. And add to stage. Cool. So what I ran into was that there's this issue with the default serializer, which is that we used to use Newtonsoft.Json for everything, JSON.net,
Yeah.
which a community open source JSON implementation. It's really awesome. Actually, James has been working at Microsoft for a few years, and he works like most on gRPC and debugging and diagnostics, and a bunch of other stuff in .NET and ASP.NET. But we now have a kind of a better, newer implementation of JSON that's built into .NET, System.Text.Json. The reason I'm going into all this is because, here, let me move this to the corner here. The reason I'm going into all this is because Azure Functions still uses Newtonsoft.Json, and you run into weird issues. And I'll show some of the issues that I was hitting. For instance, if I go here, I'll stop talking and start coding in a second, but here's my link bundle class. And one of the issues I was hitting is my ID was saying ID not found. Even though I have JSON property name set to ID, it doesn't work because Newtonsoft.Json, this JSON property name is a System.Text.Json thing, and Newtonsoft.Json doesn't know about it. So the two don't talk to each other. It's just kind of weird. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
You write what should work for modern .NET using...
And that's why the property names don't work.
Right. And I hit all kinds of weird issues. So
that is so tricky.
And the problem is, this is one of the things I hate. You don't get the error you expect. The error doesn't say, hey, you're using different JSON serializers or whatever. The errors are ID not found. Or the other one I kept running into was partition key is required. Or, and the reason is,
man,
because partition key is vanity URL, but in Cosmos, it's looking for lowercase vanity URL. And I spent, I don't know how many hours on this. Like, I worked on it over the weekend, and I was just like, it was fun, but it was frustrating because I'm like, I'm passing you a vanity URL and it's a little hard to debug.
Yeah, because there's no, I mean, you're saying lowercase, it ends up uppercase, and there's no visibility into like what's going on in the middle.
Exactly. And there's no real way that I found easily to kind of trace what's actually being sent up. So here's a good question from 37s. So I can kind of answer this. I don't know. The cool thing is isolated functions would support it like today. With isolated functions, you can bring your own .NET runtime, which is kind of what the thing is. So I'm not on the .NET functions or on the functions team. I don't know the official answer, but usually they try and support it very quickly. But with isolated functions, it's kind of really quick. Another cool thing is because .NET 8 is an LTS release, a lot of things are moving to support it right away. So yes, and yes.
We are on .NET isolated on the functions.
Yes. Which is, I believe, like, I think we made the right call, especially now once I get this fix in. But it's a little bit of like, it's more work, but it gives you so much more flexibility. You can use all the modern .NET stuff. You can, we could immediately switch over to .NET 8 when it's released. Like, you don't have to worry about the host runtime, etc. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll just jump right back to, I had a few more slides here. So this is basically saying like, hey, when are you using the serializer? And they're like, .NET 7 isn't an LTS. We do, like, we still have to support the LTS release versions, and we're working on it and stuff like that. So it's not officially in there. But then if you read through the stuff, they're like, well, we have actually a sample. And if you want to use our sample, switch us back over here. They're like, if you want to use our sample, we actually have a serializer you can use. And then you just switch over to using that, and it basically solves all the problems. So this is there from the functions team. This is like here, if I go up here, this is the Cosmos DB thing.
So this is just an example?
It's a sample, but it's from the team, and they're like, yeah, you can use this, switch over and start using the System.Text.Json serializer. I did this and everything worked. It's like, I wish I found this like months ago.
Oh man. I mean,
and I don't know if it's for like, yeah, I'm not sure exactly why or I hope they switch to this soon. So that's
John, this is a really good example of the trade-offs between something like .NET or C# and JavaScript. So C# giving you the structure in this robust language that JavaScript just does not have. However, serializing and deserializing JSON in JavaScript is not a thing that people agonize over ever. You just do.
Well, it's in the name, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So for me, being a web dev and having like this much trouble with JSON is insane. Like it shouldn't be like this.
So I agree with you. Honestly, this is not something I hit in my day-to-day ASP.NET dev ever. Like it kind of just works over there too, because they moved to System.Text.Jason's actually been out for a few years, and it's like it works just great. I'm not sure why from the front. Maybe it's a support thing, or maybe it's small team and resource and prioritization or whatever. But it's like I hope they move to it soon, because this actually, like once I set this up, it just works also. You know what I'm saying?
So like, what did you have to do? You implemented all this?
No, I copy and paste. So here, this thing is called Cosmos System. I copy this into the project. So that's step one. So I create a new class in my API. So I'll go, oh, this is a thing I learned about too. If I go add new item, I don't know if you've seen this. This is a thing Mads Christensen was pushing for a while, and finally is shipping in Visual Studio. It's similar to what you have in, like you can do this in VS Code. You can very easily add something. The experience you've had for a while in Visual Studio is this. So you do add new item, and it has all these templates. It takes a little while to load. It's a little confusing. It's like you got to pick your thing and all that. And it doesn't.
Yeah, but hasn't there always been a shortcut for adding like a class?
There has.
Alt-Shift-C or something?
Yeah. And it's fine. But I ran into this more when I was using like adding a JSON file or something.
Okay. Yeah. I knew there was one for class. I remember that because I remember memorizing that, so I didn't have to be in that freaking window all the time. But so now there's a picker. Nice.
Yeah. And you can also do the thing where you put in slashes and nest stuff like you can do in VS Code. So, okay, so I'm going to call that, I forget the name of it, Cosmos DB System Text JSON serializer. There's no way I spelled that right. Okay. And then, so I got that, and then I'm just going to go like that. Yeah, I think that. And then I didn't like their namespace, so I got rid of the namespace. Also, this
I get in trouble for not having a namespace.
So I think I actually put it. I did like put in.
James was very mean to me when I didn't have a namespace.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
called me all sorts of names.
You know, that's a new thing too. You can have file scope namespaces. You can do like, I don't know if we're on the up to date here. You can do namespace. Spelled that a little bit wrong. That was weird what it was trying to do. API. That's a new, isn't that weird? I don't know if you've seen this much. You don't have to nest it in braces.
Oh, you just put it at the top there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's super nice.
Yeah. Let's see if it builds. I'm not sure if you've got to actually enable it. It's like a newer-ish thing. Hey, Janisku, nice to see you. Okay, so we've now got the serializer. So then after, assuming it builds, then I need to go in and tell Cosmos to use it. it built. That is rad. There's a new like preview feature that does like cached builds in Visual Studio, where it tracks better what needs to be rebuilt and what doesn't, which is kind of neat.
Is it the hot reload?
It's not hot reload. It's more a compiler thing, like when you're compiling stuff. So okay, so that is the serializer, and this is nerdy, but if you read through it, it's like super efficient. It uses a stream. It uses, actually, I wonder if it could use spans more. They've done a lot of work to optimize like JSON serialization. It's pretty insane. Okay, so now I have to go into my program CS and I need to add in some code here. And this I'm slightly worried I'll type wrong, but we'll go for it. So this goes in here. So this is a little block of code that goes into the where I configure now. I never want to see this class again, by the way. That is scaring me. Okay. I don't want to see that right now. I want to go into program. So this part here, I need to do something, and I need to look at this, and I might need to look at, I actually have a cheat sheet, and I think I may look at that because I don't want to retype this on the fly and get it super wrong. Okay, that's over here.
By the way, I know I look a little distracted, but I'm having to reset up the project on my end. I'll explain when we get to me why that is.
Okay.
Hell of a weekend.
Okay. All right. So I'm actually, this is one small thing. I'm going to copy and paste this in because I don't want to retype wrong, and I'll just say what I did. So this is, I basically copied this in and formatted it right. This thing, but it's like the block, I needed to make sure that because the old one had the host and everything, and I needed to like turn this on. But basically this is the block right here. And the serializer is that class, and we should be like still good to go. So
and then everything else just stays the same as if we're using as if we're using System.Text.Json.
Yeah. So now wherever it would have used System.Text, or wherever you would have used Newtonsoft, now it uses System.Text.Json.
All right. Magic.
Yeah.
With this obscure.
I know. It's crazy. And it's like, oh yeah, Wesley. Yeah. So I just got to call this out. This immune book that I got on the shelf here.
What is that?
I love this book. Here, let me grab it real quick. Oh, I have to show off a few fun books. We're doing book show and tell. Okay. Okay, this is this book. I like this. A few years ago, there's reasons to know a little bit more about the immune system, and I got interested in it anyways, And this thing has tons of, like, it's got a lot of words. I actually did the audiobook too. But it's got tons of really good, like, diagrams and stuff. It's from the guy that does, or the team that does Kurzgesagt. It's like a German team. They do all these explainer videos. So anyways, cool. I'm a fan.
I read the chat. Did you read Apollo's Arrow during the pandemic?
I did not.
It's a good one. It's specifically about COVID, and it came out like early in the pandemic. Like they got it out quick, but it was pretty fascinating in terms of like the history of pandemics, and like it's new to us.
Yeah.
But it's such a huge part of history. Like 50% of history is people living in pandemics. Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I picked up stuff from this book. I read some other books too, like on just immune system has so many checks and balances, right? Because your body needs to kill things that are foreign, but if it makes a mistake, it starts attacking itself. You've got autoimmune disease. So you've got all these checks and balances and ways where it's like two things have to agree, or one thing unlocks the other thing, but then another thing can shut the other thing down, and all these crazy things. So, okay. Yeah. Very quick book show and tell just while I'm at it. Here, let me do this. Okay. So I've written this book. This is way back in the day. I wrote that, but here's the thing I'm showing off. I'm proud of this. Ooh. One of my books, they got translated to Chinese. Isn't that right?
Hey,
so
that's awesome.
I've like done the whole Duolingo Chinese course, but I still can't read this. But there's some words in here that I get, so that's cool. Anyways, okay. Back at it.
Right.
Okay, so somebody wants the Git repo link. Let me grab that for you.
I got it. You
Okay.
focus.
Get
Focus
back
on
to
John.
back to the programming. Okay, so now what I need to do is I can kind of fix up my bundle class a bit more. So now I don't need this one to be lowercase id because that's weird. I was naming it that because otherwise I needed to do that before I understood why my serialization wasn't working. But now it's going to honor this JSON property name thing. So that's cool. And then
Oh man, this explains so much.
all of a sudden I was like, oh, this and this and this, all my serialization issues, all these weird things about, like I said, I kept running into partition key things. And once I fixed that, it's like, so it's like so many things with coding. You spend.
I mean, how do we even give this feedback to the team, to the functions team, and be like, y'all,
Yeah.
how are people supposed to solve this? They're just going to be stuck in an endless cycle of
I think we should have better docs. So do we need JSON property name attributes? I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure because I think there can be a policy where you tell System.Text.Json to serialize lowercase.
You can.
I'll mess with that later. I'm not sure.
There's like yes, I did. And I actually am using that in a different Blazor project, but I prefer this way because it's very declarative. Otherwise, your stuff's all getting transformed in some other spot. It's camel case. You can send it all to camel case.
Yeah. I'll consider. Okay. Yeah, Cecil's right. I mean, we really should.
That's what we should do.
We need to review.
The original author in the house.
Another thing too that I would think to do, even if it stays separate, Newtonsoft JSON and System.Text.Json, .NET has analyzers and it can say, like a little light bulb, hey, you've got JSON property name.
Yeah.
Whoops. Wow, I double clicked and now my screen got super weird. Exit full screen. I went full screen.
So it looks good to us. Nope, you're frozen.
Am I back?
No, it's frozen. It shall remove you.
Uh-oh.
Unshare.
Okay. Unshare my screen?
Yeah. Okay, now share it again.
Okay. Weird. Present, share screen, share entire screen. I double clicked on the screen and it like kind of freaked out.
All right. Now we're back.
Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back. Yeah. So anyways, I would like to see like analyzers more for this sort of stuff, like because that's one thing .NET can do. I agree. And also the docs should really be better. It should say, hey, you're writing an isolated function. Here's some things to do. Because
I feel like we should write a blog post or something as well, so that when people Google this, they can at least find a blog post, something, because there's nothing. I Googled this so much and there was nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to make one other change while I'm in here, which is this git init makes sense for everything until you get to the update case. Because what I was thinking, like, this is another weird thing, by the way. Previous version of the Cosmos runtime was like, don't bother passing us an ID, we'll generate it for you. The new one assumes you're going to send an ID. Doesn't tell you, it just is like, you need an ID. And I'm like looking at the old code and I'm like, it was fine before, but anyways, it requires a GUID. However, when you're updating, when you're doing an update case, right? So I've got an old one. It's already got an ID. I need to be able to assign that GUID. I can't assign a new GUID because then it's a new thing I'm not updating. So I'm going to change this to set. I think I'm done there. So now I can go in and I can make delete work. So I'm going to try and do some more Copilot stuff. Oh yeah, I should do the Windows Shift C thing too. I used to do that all the time. I would show that off. Okay, so we'll do delete link. All right, that's there.
Oh shit, you gotta start from, wait, don't you have you can't just say like add an HTTP function?
Yeah, Probably could, huh? Oh, there was another. So yes,
because there's a lot of like boilerplate on that mug.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see. Like, and that's not. Trying to think what I need to do here for delete link. I want to copy over some of the stuff that I have from the other one because there is some boilerplate and it might get it right, but it didn't off the bat. So there's this stuff here, right? So this logger and all that business. And then this I need to change to delete link. So now that seems pretty good, except now I need to bring in the. See, that's not right though, because what I really want is. Yeah, I do. Azure functions. I get a little worried when it's like, is it bringing in the right one? I'm going to actually bring in all these usings and then remove the ones I don't need. Because that's another weird case where, like, sometimes Copilot pulls in the old usings and stuff. Okay, somebody says line 18, change the type of create logger. Okay. Line 18. Yes. Thank you. That would have been a fun little weird issue like years from now. Why is it logging wrong?
But wait, John, we don't actually ever delete a link. We delete link bundles.
So we should rename this because that's actually what this does.
Delete. So it deletes a link bundle.
It deletes an entire bundle. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So you pass it a vanity URL and it deletes it. I'm going to just accept this and then we'll see how right it was.
Yeah, that's a lot of code.
That's a lot of code. And I'm guessing I'm not going to need that. So first of all, link bundle ID is wrong. So what I need to do is get vanity URL. So this is the weird thing that I got from, oh yeah, let me see. I forget. This is one where I have it set up in the route. Yeah. So my route actually should be link /
vanity.
Yep. And then here's another kind of weird thing, which is I don't need, before I used the execution context because I was having to read the JSON payload, I don't need that now because there's no JSON payload. There's just the vanity URL to delete. But what I do need,
vanity URL is a string.
So
yeah, much easier.
But here's also the weird thing is I was trying to just find like, why do I need, like, how do I read this from the route? And that's a weird thing that changed in Azure Functions before. Before it was like, I forget, it was a binding somewhere. Here it's like, it's in the route, but you also just put string vanity URL and then it's available.
Oh, that's nice. So you don't actually, so that's good to know because I'm parsing everything off. So wait a minute, does it know whether or not it's on the body or in the query string, or like it just doesn't care? It'll do it for you.
It pulls it from the route.
Oh, from the route. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's a route parameter. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you have parameters on the body, or if you have parameters on the body, you still have to parse those off recta body.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Or deserialize the JSON payload or whatever. Okay. So now I'm reviewing this to see. So I don't need to validate a payload. Yeah, I don't need a lot of this stuff. It did its. Yeah, okay. So I can basically get rid of like 90% of this because it's trying to deserialize a payload and I don't need that. This is Copilot, like looking at the save links and trying to redo that for here, and I don't need that. What I do need to do though, and this is something I kind of went back and forth on. I ended up doing a query, and there's probably better ways to do this, but this is what I came up with. So I've got the container. I'm actually going to just delete this stuff here because this is all exception handling based on the other thing. Gosh. Okay. Let's do, let's close that. And then let's do that. So what I'm doing here is the previous one had a binding in the, like it had a function binding that did this query. Here's what I'm doing. I'm doing select top one star and looking at my vanity URL. The reason for that is my first look at this, I was like, oh, well, I'll just say delete by vanity ID. I want to go through using the client, but I need this ID. So when you do delete item async, you need the partition key and the ID. And the vanity URL is not an ID, if that makes sense. So I actually need
yes, that is correct. Even though we have it set up as the partition key, the ID is the ID. So you always have to have the system. Well, it's usually system generated, but I think we're generating it ourselves, aren't we?
We are. And it's a GUID.
Yeah, it's always a GUID, and yeah, it's a system thing. You always have to have it, no matter what you're doing.
Yep. So I could, now that I'm looking at this, I could possibly have done a delete query. I'm not sure, but I kind of wanted to say, like, first let's get the thing. Let's look it up and see if it's there, and if it's not there, then I'll figure out what's going on. I need to create this response. So I'll do here. Let's see if it gets it. That is pretty cool, except the status code gets, oops. Why did I do that? That was crazy. Okay. I'm writing a string. I think that's cool, actually. So that's good.
Isn't that the default status code, or do you have to actually explicitly say?
I don't know, but I like to set it no matter what. It probably is. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is pretty close to it. The one thing is I actually need to also return the response. No, we don't need that. Return. I mean, yeah, I guess so.
If the vanity 404, if the vanity is not found.
Yeah. Let me look at what I did before with this. Yeah, actually, all I did was, I don't need to do the whole. I didn't do it.
Should it be a 404 though?
I think so.
Because here's the thing, like 404 means the URL was not found, not the vanity was not found. And so it's, you know what I'm saying? Like the app would be expecting a different kind of error, like your API being offline versus the function erroring out. I want to know what chat thinks. Is this a 404, y'all, or is that a misuse of the 404?
So it's interesting. I read, people debate this, and I'm not sure the right answer, but I kind of do think if you are trying to do something by an ID, like that's the most helpful information to me, is like the link's not found, versus otherwise, what other error, like a server error, or like.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, so it would be a 404 with a payload versus a 404 that just says with no payload, because the API, I think that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
So it's 404 with a payload message versus when it's not found at all, it's a 404 with no payload at all. Just there ain't nothing here.
Yeah. I'll give an example too. because I was debugging something last night. Actually, by the time I got this all running, it was up on. I was looking at the deployment slot and stuff was failing. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, right, where it's like either's kind of valid. There's not like it's not super clear cut. Anyways, I was debugging on Azure on the deployment slot, and eventually I figured out, oh, I need to actually set up the connection string for Cosmos DB because we changed it when we changed the client. The old connection string, it was just one long connection string. Now it's an endpoint and a key.
Yep.
So I needed to go and tweak that, and having these actual status codes was super helpful.
Did you fix it?
Able to say like, whatever. Okay, that's interesting.
Delete is idempotent. If you're deleting something that's not found, it should just return no content. So first of all, what the heck does idempotent mean?
Oh, I know this.
What
one.
is it?
So I've heard also idempotent. It's basically something you can call again and again and again. So basically, it is not the same as like placing an order, right? If you place an order on a website, every time you hit that URL, it deletes something. Versus idempotent is something where you can run a function 100 times and it causes
it won't hurt it, right? Because you're deleting the item. You can't delete the item multiple times. It's already gone. So further deletes will cause no harm.
Exactly. Similar to like get versus post, right? So a get should be idempotent. And this is an example where in the early days of the web, there was some website that had delete links in an admin thing that were all get requests. And somehow something went wrong and a web spider hit this thing and it deleted all the comments off the site. And then people were like, okay, get should not change anything. Get should only get stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right.
Anyway. Okay. I think.
Okay, so,
yeah.
So, but why? Look. Why then does it have to return no content? Is that we're returning no content as like the body, as the payload back, or I don't understand here.
I think too, I forget, but I think I looked at what the old one did, and I think it also did not found if it wasn't found. So
just 404 with no, I wonder if by no content they mean just nothing, which again, I don't know. We'll let them clarify, but I don't like that. I want to know when the API is unavailable versus when the operation actually failed, right?
Yeah.
You can conflate these two things, and I like errors to be real clear. Here's what happened. Sometimes APIs will return the content of the deleted item. Returning no content. So no content must be a status code. Oh, it is. It's 204. It's a 204. Yeah. So we were supposed to return a 204.
I'll tell you what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to write all this code in the save link class. That's maybe on the list.
Oh no.
So let's just go ahead and grab this out and get this unmessed up. Okay, so this. Nice. Okay, so that we'll put now in the delete link class. Oh my gosh, that is wonderful. I'm glad I did actually catch it though. Okay. Oh my goodness, this whole thing. So I need here's a neat trick I like to do. I go collapse. I go copy. I go over here. I go collapse on that, whatever. And then I'm going to delete all that and paste. Let's see if that even happens to work. So now I can go back in here. I'll save that. I'll go in here. I'll Control Z all this business. And I think we're back in business. If not, I'll go into Git. Okay. Is that even going to build? That was beautiful.
I lost track somewhere there at the end.
Yeah. So what I did was write all the code in the save links class. Oh yeah.
Whoops. We should just have one class that does all the things, right? We'll just call, here's a new model, one API, one endpoint that does everything, and we'll
Yeah,
just send.
I've worked on APIs like that in the past, and they're not as fun as you'd think.
We're gonna give it a, we'll give it a fancy name. We'll call it like, I don't know,
Do it.
single item, single API principle. Write a blog
Yeah,
post about it.
exactly.
This is
Yes,
the new
yes.
model.
Okay.
Right?
So this is now built, so that's good. I don't need cryptography and all this business. So now I've got potentially a working, yeah, I swear this, yeah.
I mean, why not? I've heard of companies that put every project they work on in a single repository. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
the mono repo. Yeah.
yeah, it has a cool name. You're like, yeah, mono repos, right? And there's benefits to it. There's a
Yeah.
real benefit.
Yeah, here, giant switch for routing. It's yes, and you do lose a bit of the rests thing and all that business. But whatever.
I mean, sometimes there's this meme that goes around every now and again, and it's like junior developer, I'll just hard code this.
Right.
Senior developer, I'll create a factory and inject this. And then it's like architect, I'll just hard code this. And I
Yes.
feel like there's like, that's tongue in cheek. There's some truth to that though, right? Like the longer you code, the more you come all the way back around to like, let's just do this the simplest way possible. Anyway.
Yeah. I realize I've been going for a little bit on this, and I don't know what time we should go to. Can you go for another like 45 minutes? Because we
Yeah,
started
sure.
late. Okay. So let me.
Oh no, it's Friday. I don't work after 1 p.m. on Fridays.
Right. Okay. So I think we are actually, I'm going to copy over my updated save link HTTP, or yeah, my HTTP file, and I'm going to rename it. So this one, we actually looked at this in the past. This is one that has post. So it tests a few things. First post, then get, then the put for the update case, which we'll do next. And then it does a delete.
What's with your ID there?
Yeah, well, I did that intentionally. A GUID is required, and I wanted one that is easy to remember and obvious. So that's it. It's a legal GUID. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is the test GUID that we use.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, because otherwise you'd have to send it, get it back, then you got the ID, then you got to send it back in.
Right.
In this case, skipping a step.
Yeah, for the test, for this HTTP file, it's like not as easy. Like we do get it back, but there's not a simple way to like parse it and all that kind of stuff. So
I know we're like vamping on this, but I feel like JavaScript is like essentially, JavaScript is this essence, right? It's like in JavaScript, it's like, what if I just want an object with a method on it, right? So in C# you need like a singleton or a static class or whatever the hell that is. In JavaScript, it's just an object with a method, and you just call it, right? It's like the simplest version. And I know people are probably, they're like, dude, shut up about JavaScript. Okay.
No, this is part of why I wanted to do this with you. Actually, it's like, I want to, you've done a decent amount of code with .NET in the past. You've been hardcore on JavaScript for a while now.
Yeah, for most of my career, right? And there are no abstract or protected classes, right? There's no void or typed. It is a function. That's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people are like, hey, JavaScript devs aren't real devs. Maybe.
It's a different style, right? And it's like, you can be.
I'm not a real dev.
I will say, like, the biggest JavaScript project I worked on way back, Silverlight 1.0 was, that's weird, my mouse was like slowly moving, that was red. Silverlight 1.0 was actually JavaScript only. It wasn't C#. And I worked on a project for March Madness. I was like the lead dev on this project. There was like a project lead, but I was the coder basically for a lot of it. And so we were doing the video streaming, and it got like millions of hours of views, and people were, it was intense because you lose like a minute of live streaming and you lose a lot of viewers and you lose a lot of ad money. So we did so many stress tests and all this. But anyways, I wrote JavaScript to control and switch all the channels, and you could pick which video stream and stuff. It was rad. But the craziest thing was the video was using Windows Media, or WMV, whatever. And I had to write a WMV like parser in JavaScript, or not the playlist parser, that's like, because there wasn't support for any of this. I'm like, all right, time to do some dynamic parsing of XML that's not actually well formed. So, all right, where was I? Yes.
I'll see if I can find this meme. Oh yeah, that's what dynamic is for. And
Yeah.
didn't Rob Connery write like a whole data access library that was essentially just dynamics? The whole thing is just
Subsonic.
dynamic.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, and
Leave it up to Connery to take everything to the extreme. I love it.
I've been working with Rob lately. He's been doing some cool stuff with like Vue. He actually wrote Vue template for ASP.NET, and he's been doing a lot of stuff using like testing out some of the stuff and kind of looking at templates for JavaScript front ends with ASP.NET minimal API backends and stuff.
Dude,
so.
he's still the GOAT when it comes to developer ergonomics, man.
Yeah,
nobody gets really it like that guy does.
It's funny because like I kind of just I look at a code base, I'm like, okay, this is how we're doing it, and I go with it. Rob will look at stuff and I'll go like, this sucks, I'm not doing this, and he'll like fix it.
That is the other thing. Rob, we love you. You're too honest. All right.
I love opinions, I just don't have them.
Okay. I do. I just keep them here mostly because I'm pretty sure I'm wrong all the time.
So now we've got all the stuff. Now, I will say one thing that I did change slightly is the old one used a separate class for the update function. And what I realized was that the save link function, let me save this first. Save link function already had some stuff to like validate payloads and like check for an existing item and like make sure stuff's there and all that sort of stuff. So I just added a function right into this, just below this guy. So I'm going to see if Copilot can handle that for me. Function, Azure function that updates link bundle. All right, see how it does. Okay.
So the save links is going to hold the update links too?
Yeah. I mean, we can rename the class.
I don't I like it. I would prefer it if it was different.
Okay.
I don't know, chat. What do you think? Should we have it seems like it seems like we should have, John. Create link bundle, delete link bundle, update link bundle, right? So it's very clear when you go into the API what's where. Yeah.
So the reason that I did this was when I went through it before, was because you've got to do some things. When you do update link bundle, you've got to validate the payload and stuff like that. You've got to validate a few things, and I had functions that were in both places. And I was like, I can create an abstract class, or I can move it over to a utility class or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I usually do, but I get what you're saying. Like it's
kind of repetitive.
Now you got 3 files when all you really need was one extra method in a single file.
Exactly, right? Because saving and updating kind of do the same thing. You need to save a valid link bundle. So that's what I got to. Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with this, and then if we need to redo, it's like you're on your own, buddy. Okay. So I need to do the things, which is, first of all, I need to go in, and so I've got to update links, and then I'll do the public async task HTTP. So this is one of those things that I'm not sure why they changed it. It used to be like HTTP response, and now it's HTTP response data update. So the method name is it doesn't matter what you call it. It's just whatever. But because it uses the function thing to map it, right?
So what'd you call the other function?
So the old one was actually called run.
What's this one called? Well, what's the one above it called?
So actually, that was something. Let's change this.
Oh, because that's left over from that's what functions gives you automatically.
Yeah, and now save. So yeah, all that save. Right,
like you should use save links because it's used.
It can't do that because the class name is save links.
Gotcha.
And then so we can like rename stuff, but I want to actually get it working to start.
What's the difference between save and update? Wouldn't it be create and update?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I'm going to start by, instead of retyping all this, because I've actually got to type in the like the URL map and stuff like that. So why is it unhappy with that? Oh, because I didn't write a method body. Fine, get all picky. That's going to say you're not returning something or whatever. Okay, so now I need a logger, and I've got my logger stuff from up above. So there definitely is some duplication, and there's some stuff that I could, change around. I think I can grab a lot of this stuff, actually. I don't need to validate the vanity URL. We've already done that. Okay. So let's go there. And then I need to make sure that I change this to update link. And this needs to, yeah, okay. I think that's looking good so far, right? So it's reading the payload. And then I just need to check if the vanity URL exists. Yeah. So I don't need to do the whole check for uniqueness and all that, but I just need to say, does it exist? In the interest of time, I'm just going to paste in this previously written. So previously we did a whole thing. If a vanity URL wasn't passed, create one, do all the stuff. Now we're just saying if you didn't pass it, you didn't send it. Or we could make this something better, like vanity URL is required. Actually, yeah. Okay. So now we need to go and we need to look up the ID. Oh no, the ID is passed. We can assume. I went through all these things in my head. You need to have the ID to delete it, right? Because you've already got that on the client. There's no need to make us go and look it up again and stuff. So,
then you got to check for it, right? If there's no ID.
Well, I think in this case, I can just say delete it and, oh, sorry. This is update. So I think all I need to do is here, I'm just going to copy this in rather than like try and redo this. Do I have a try around this? I'm going to copy this in and talk about it rather than like retype it, because I think I've been going for a while and I want to see you do some fun front end stuff too.
Yeah, all good, man. We don't have to do anything on the front end.
So this is what I got going on here. I've got okay. So we get the vanity URL from the route. We log it. We deserialize from JSON. We validate the payload. So again, we need to say, is this actually a real link bundle? We need to check if the vanity URL is there. And then for this, I went through tons of different stuff. And this is the thing I pinged you about yesterday. I don't think we need to use JSON patch this time around.
Here we go. Another religious
argument. I know.
Incoming.
Let's see if Cecil's still on. There's a few reasons. One is JSON patch, the dotnet implementation of JSON patch relies on Newtonsoft JSON. So we're back to that. I just got away from Newtonsoft JSON, right? And the other thing is JSON patch is really useful because it allows modifying, it allows kind of like surgically modifying a JSON document. In this case, we've got a 1 kilobyte JSON payload.
That's the thing. How many links are you going to have in a bundle? A million?
Right? And it's like, and then it's got to actually go. I think actually probably on the server, it's easier for it to just say replace.
Yeah, just bam.
Look this, modify this. So I think JSON patch, and I did a bunch of reading on this. I think JSON patch is really good when you've got like a large document database and you've got like very specific changes to make to it. But in this case, I was kind of like, oh. So I would need to like include a bunch of code in order to do it. Yeah, this is kind of good here. Like
Transform. Ugh, I'm already out.
yeah, I mean, so
Yes.
it is super cool. It's very sophisticated. You can do amazing stuff with it. And I think in this case, with this really simple, small JSON document, like let's just update it. So, and then I also looked, there's, whoa, oh my gosh, I did the thing again. Let me see. Hopefully my screen doesn't freeze. Did my screen freeze?
Also, they're saying that the status code is going to be overwritten.
Oh, yeah. Okay, 114. Yeah, that's true. So we want that the status code needs to be overwritten if it's a bad request. Yes, that's correct. They're right, and I missed this. I need to set because the right JSON. So res dot headers something. No. Status. I forget what status. Right. I need to look. I may have other ones like that too. When you write a JSON, when you do write as JSON, it resets the status code. Thank you, Copilot. Yeah.
It should not do that. We should put an issue and say like, why are you modifying the status code behind the scenes?
Yeah. So this is a great question here. There's nothing wrong with Newtonsoft JSON. I don't need to have two JSON serializers in the same project. Or if I do, I want to think about it. It's another dependency. It's more weight. It takes, it's just more code. And I will say that like Newtonsoft JSON is awesome. However, some of the stuff they're doing, some of the improvements they've done in System.Text.Json are like crazy insane. It's super optimized. There's some so in terms of performance, I think you're going to get like much faster, like, you know what I mean? I'd rather be using the newest one. So, yeah, some great other stuff here. Problem is if it's in the client, they don't know what they need to do. So this is true too. Like with patch, the client actually needs to tell the server, here's the changes I want done. So you've actually got to do more bookkeeping in the client. You know what I mean? To say, remove this and add this, because you're creating an update to the thing as opposed to like, here's the new JSON document, like just slam it in. So, okay. Yeah. And so this is cool too. There are some amazing like things, although I wouldn't be surprised. Fool Schnabel. I always want to say Schnabel. There's some amazing updates that are going on with System.Text.Json. They're doing some stuff with like AOT compilation and like just interceptors and source generators and stuff in there. Yeah. Have you seen do you see these Stephen Taub performance posts? I got to show this off real quick.
Me? I don't. That name does not ring a bell.
I mean, so this is, you're in luck. Your weekend plans are set for you. So I'm going to go.
No. I already have plans.
No, what you're going to do is you're going to read. Oh, was it 4? I rolled right by it. It's like a 200-page blog post. It is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Performance improvements. Okay. Yes, it's insane. Look at like it just goes and goes. I don't know if you can see the scroll bar.
ChatGPT.
It's just nuts. And so it's crazy the amount of stuff that they're doing that are like, okay, we doubled the speed here. We cut all these allocations. We did all this crazy stuff. This is part of why I tell people update to the newest .NET. You don't have to use any of the new features. You just get these huge performance bumps like off the bat. So like in here, like if I go JSON, Like there's this whole section in here on JSON, and it's just like crazy. So this is why like Newtonsoft.Json is great, and I want to be on the newest System.Text.Json if I'm writing like modern code, if I'm writing greenfield code. So all that to say, yeah, whatever. You don't have to get off Newtonsoft.Json. It's still cool. It's amazing that basically James and community got some pull requests, but basically James wrote the JSON parser for I don't know how long.
I mean, I remember, and he was like first to market, right? Before everybody was sure that JSON was going to supplant XML, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had the only JSON parser available at that time. And
Yeah.
I was quite happy with it. It was really well done.
Yeah.
Very easy to use.
I mean, it's really good code. It's like JSON is a little tricky. Like it can do some funky things, and then another amazing thing about Newtonsoft.Json is the configuration you can put on it. You can say, don't validate this thing, or allow adding, allow adding this, don't, you know what I mean? You can kind of set policies and stuff for it. So I think I now have a working update. I have a working delete. And then I also have a working API tests. So I'm going to build it and run it. And then I think I can kick it over to you. Yeah. Yeah. So test? What are you talking about, test?
I didn't say write a test. Just going to run it. See if it works.
Yeah. Well, that's why I actually renamed this thing to API tests, because I think that's a, yeah, yes, I think JSON is like, for instance, there, and you can probably, a lot more about this than me, but there are like JSON's proposed standards that include like comments. There's JSON proposed standards, like there's JSON schemas, but
JSON C.
Yeah, there's JSON LD. There's all these like kind of standards, but JSON's just kind of this thing, It's like, so
my answer to that would be, the great thing about standards is that there's so many to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, my whole career, there's been standards for this and standards for that. And it's like, you can't, nobody's doing it. Nobody's going for it.
Yeah.
Explicitly, Crockford explicitly excluded comments.
I mean, probably a wise decision. It's like, I guess it is hard to like build something you really rely on and build an API. It's not totally self-documenting then, and it's like, why is this not serializing right? Or
that's
why
you got stuff like what's that freaking thing that we put in every single one of our demos that's like a Swagger. Swagger stuff.
I still, that's on my to-do list. I want to sell you on Swagger, but that's not for today. Okay, so I'm going to run this. I'm going to run the API and I'm going to do my tests. And I am loving these HTTP files, and also preview next Tuesday. I have Syed coming on the ASP.NET Community Stand-Up, and he's going to show me some of the newer stuff, because there's like new support in these HTTP files where you can have variables, where you can like abstract stuff over to your like secrets and all kinds of stuff. So, okay, so now I've got this thing running. So let's go in. Let's, first of all, I'm going to try and post, and I don't know if the item already exists in the database. I think it does. So I'm actually hoping that it's going to say error, item already exists. So what's happening?
Did you already send it?
I did, and I don't see anything happening. Is it not running? Oh, this isn't making me happy, because this should, when I click it, it should split to a new screen. What's going on there? It started. Let me try closing and reopening it. Oh, what's going on there? API tests, because it's so cool. Okay. Make sure it's running on port 7071. It is. Let's do There it is. I don't know what happened there. Come on, buddy. Awaiting response. Another thing that's cool too is this uses that same REST client that you use in VS Code too. Okay, so I don't know if you can clearly see that, but
Yeah,
I got
already exists.
error I expected. So I'm going to jump to the bottom and delete it. That's a little weird.
Get a 404.
What's happening there? I'm not happy about. Oh, you know why? This is maybe because. Okay, let me look. I'll actually have the. Got the portal open. Oh, I hope you don't mind. I turned on App Insights because I was debugging. Okay. Oh, it's in a separate. Okay, just a second. Drag it off screen here because I want to look at.
You looking for the database?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Got it. Okay, so now I need to go to my Data Explorer. I think if I go here, it tells me just Data Explorer. Okay, let's go here. Let's go items. It is there. I'm not happy about this. Let's go ahead and delete it. Delete. Yeah. Okay. I may, if, yeah, so now I can do send request. And here I'm explicitly setting the ID. Looks like I have a bug in my delete. So if I do, then I'll compare it with, okay, so that works because it always worked. Now we'll do get. That works. Now we'll do put, and I'm going to say, let's change this. Just so it's very obvious what's happening. Oh, how is this written?
How's it? Oh, it's 2 words.
Ah.
Officially.
All right, and then what we're doing here. I wonder, can
binary description? That's rad.
That's what we get. Okay. Okay. Doing that.
Send it.
Send it. Okay. So that's all good. Now let's look at the database. There it is. Okay. So we have a working update method, which is cool. Because that was not on my OKRs for today. I was only supposed to write the delete method. And now let's see if delete works, and I'm hopeful. Okay, there it says 404 not found. So I am going to actually go in to my code that worked last night and replace the entire class because, let's see if I did something wrong here. Vanity URL, it's looking up the ID. If that, I'm right, I'll actually debug this. Let's do that. Okay, let's go back to API tests. Let's go debug.
Breakpoint doesn't look bound.
Right. I'm unhappy here because I tested this 1,000 times. Okay.
The demo gods have said.
I wonder if, you know what? I think maybe the URL is wrong. Possibly. Delete should be using delete links vanity URL.
Links vanity URL. That's right.
Yeah.
See, but now's the problem. You can't tell the difference between a URL that's wrong and a.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
So much suspense. Okay.
All right.
What is the result? Okay. Step in. Okay. It's looking promising. Delete async. Do we have an ID? I want to actually see what that is. I don't know if I can easily do that. I should do that on a different line.
It's going to fail. No, it worked.
See, this is why computers are terrible.
Computers are terrible. Quote,
right?
John Galloway.
I think I have working code now.
What did you do differently?
I don't know. I debugged.
You know, it reminds me of the old joke where you have like a developer, a PM, and a support person driving down the road in a car, right?
Yeah.
And the car breaks down on the side of the road. Have you heard this joke? The car breaks down on the side of the road, and the PM is like, all right, here's what we need to do, okay? We need to make a list of everything that could possibly be wrong, right? We're going to assign tasks. We're going to report back. The support person's like, I don't know. I think we should get under the hood and check it out. And they look at the developer and they're like, what do you think we should do? And the developer's like, I think we should get in the car and try it again.
Okay. And case in point, right? This worked. So I think I'm done with my task here. Now I could go through and create the pull request and all that. I actually have already done that. So I think what I'm going to recommend instead is that we merge my pull request. Oops. Are you up for that? It's always fun to get a PR merged.
Ooh, and it's built. Oh, that's right. Let's do it.
I need to rename this one because I previously was cowardly and I change it. And so this one also, what's pretty cool about it is because Azure Functions deploys stuff to a deployment slot. Yeah, you can see all this fun. Yeah, and because it deploys to a deployment slot, I was actually able to test against this. So if I go to, okay, so this is the API running on the deployment slot. So if I go to API links test, oh, I've deleted it. So it's going to be 404.
Not there. It should 404. Oh.
So
Can be found.
Yeah. Okay. So now this is actually kind of fun. Is this still running? It is.
Well, wait a minute, though. It shouldn't do that. It should just, the page shouldn't error out.
Well, let me see. Maybe I did the wrong thing. Post. So I think the browser gets a little crazy when it sees a 404 and it tries to be helpful.
Oh, you're hitting the API. I got you.
I'm hitting the API. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is testing the PR on the deployment slot, which is a feature of Azure Functions and stuff that I love. So, all right, I'm going to merge my own pull request because I've talked long enough and I want to actually see you write some. Do we have time for you to write any code today?
I mean, we can keep going if you want to, but I feel like that's a hard left turn. Maybe we just stop today and then next time,
all right,
come back and do some more front end stuff, because you have essentially most of the methods that we need at this point. The only other API method we need is the open graph one, which is you're really going to enjoy.
I am super interested too in the security. Like if we need to implement security on the front end, back end stuff, do we have?
Oh yeah, you're going to have to like wrap that delete and the update. And does this user have the ability to do that?
API needs to, this is weird. API needs to work.
The other thing I've thought about doing, John, is just like disallowing anonymous links in the new version. Like forcing people to sign in to use it.
I can I can see either way on that.
So we can sell their data.
How often do people actually use the anonymous thing? Like, I think you could look at usage patterns and see, right?
We can look in the database, and we should do that at some point. In fact, we could do that now, since if you want to, just do
Yeah.
run a
Do you want me to turn it over to you and you take a look real quick?
Yeah, let me. I just gotta share my screen, and everything is.
I think you're right. I'm like 0 for 5 on the last. Like, I never know what to say for the titles of these.
I mean, that's why I was like, does it, when you like title, what should the title be? I'm like, doesn't matter.
Right.
It's a
We're
soup.
doing some more live coding. I am happy though. This is like, we solved 2 big things for me. One is figured out why the cause of all these bugs was serialization. We're now using the semi-official System.Text.Json serializer, and then we implemented update and delete. And
Amazing.
yeah, all right.
All right. So,
you ready to share?
Oh, my keys.
Okay, I'm sharing your screen. You ready?
All right, go.
All right, here we go.
My keys are exposed. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Is it? It's in a different database though. Hold
That's
on.
what I was thinking. Yeah, that's part of why I wasn't going on mine.
John, did you vote for my project for the hackathon?
My Is there still time to vote?
You can like it.
Okay.
You can like and subscribe.
Okay.
I think this is the one. Database.
I'm curious what the
this is yeah, this is right. Data Explorer. So
like, how many links are there?
We looked at this before and it was non-trivial. Because we were like, you just blow the database away.
Yeah.
This is like start all over. It was like, no. Okay, so we got a lot of vanities in here.
Can you search where? Can you do a query where user name is null or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, open up one of the.
How does one edit filter? Okay, here we go. So it's select star.
It's already got select star from C. See the beginning. So you can just say where.
I swear we did this before. Where? We did do this before, John, because we talked about, we were like, well, let's just remove the login. How many people actually log in? And it's enough to where we were like, we should do this. Where c.vanity URL. Here's where we got stuck.
No, we need to do where user ID.
Sorry, c.user. Is it user ID?
Mm-hmm. Equals quote quote. Is that gonna work?
It has to be single quotes. I don't think this works. Yeah.
Did it not? That worked. So now you can do count.
Select count.
Yeah, but you need to do like a new query for this now, or does it?
How does one do a new query? New SQL query. Okay. Select count star. Like kind of SQL, but not SQL. Let's see where C user ID equals.
All right, this is very exciting.
One of the input values is invalid. Can we do? See, I swear, John, that query did not work. The one we ran just a minute ago.
What is the more detailed?
Hey, let me edit this. That does work. So why can't we do count star?
Well, I'm gonna Googlify it.
Do a count of user ID? No, because that's just going to give us a count of all the different. I need a count of vanity URL.
Oh, you have to say select value count 1. Select value. So you say value and then space and then count. And you can just do 1. You don't have to do star because you're not data.
9,903.
Okay,
How
so
many
now
are there
do
total?
not equal to.
Like this?
Yeah, or maybe greater than less than.
30. So yeah, a lot more people. 3 times.
Yeah, so
3
we
times
got to
as
do
many people
anonymous.
log in as do not.
That's crazy.
The reason why I don't like the anonymous ones is because if you squat on a URL, okay, like you take a URL, we have no idea who owns that.
Yeah. And then people can use it like, I don't know if there's like any kind of abuse or, you know what I mean?
They can use it for like there's no accountability. Not that there necessarily would be with a login either, but there's more. There's something.
And you can also tie it, like say you have like a bad actor, you can say delete all the links from this user. Or
that is true. Yes.
Or GDPR if someone says, give me, I mean, so you don't have to, but you know, it does give you more options. I don't know.
I'm saying we require a login.
But even if you do for legacy, you can't remove the old ones. You know what I mean? So then you're in a weird spot.
Well, you can't, and that's okay. But what we can do is when people try to create it, be like, no, you got to log in to do that. But then we have to handle the login flow, coming back, restoring their state, and being like, now you can publish. Like it's
You're right. You're right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's an ordeal. But what we could do on the homepage is remove that new link bar that we work so hard on.
I know.
And instead just put log in to get started. Sign in to get started.
That section at the bottom could have like an animation or something, or you know what I mean, could explain what the site does.
Chad, help us figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, John.
That's a good place to wrap up. This is awesome. I learned a lot. I feel like we do need to make our list too. I'm going to try and like put together a list while it's fresh in my head of all the stuff I learned. I feel like now I get the code base. I understand what's going on in the functions. You know what I mean? So if I need to go
which was part of the problem is that we couldn't add functionality like an API to the back end because nobody understood.
It's
a processal who left us.
I know. Yeah. It was cool. He popped in earlier. I don't know how long.
I know. That was awesome. Nice going.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I will play us out. I'm excited about what we got done and also the weekend being here. But first, I have a lot of work to do. Darn it. Okay. Thanks for watching. Video plays.